Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Biopharma Podcast. We are live today at the ISPE annual meeting in Boston at the Heinz Convention Center. And I'm super excited because I have kind of a new friend, Jenn Clark, with me today from Commissioning Agents. And I got her to sit down here for a couple minutes because this girl does not stop, like never stops. It's awesome to watch. Anyways, Jenn, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me today.
I know this is a little weird. You can't see this if you're watching this on the video, but we do have people walking by and around us and talking. And I've never done this before, and I don't know if Jenn has, but she's a little bit more of a celebrity than me. Anyways, hey Jenn, if you could, we're going to talk today about ISPE Women in Pharma, something that you've been super involved in. It's such a growing group within ISPE, lots of industries actually, not just ISPE. And I have just been blown away by what I see as a big success for ISPE. So could you first, before we talk about that, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So again, like you said, I'm Jennifer Clark. I work with CAI. I'm our Vice President of Sales and Account Relationship Management. I have been in the industry since I was in college, and we have people walking by us making faces. So I've been involved in the industry pretty much my whole life. My dad started out in the industry. He worked for Glaxo when it was just Glaxo, so I grew up knowing about pharmaceuticals, and then it became biotech, and so I just was intrigued, and I joined CAI 10 years ago in January. So very exciting milestone coming up for me, and I love people, I love talking to people, I love supporting people. I have an engineering degree and a personality, which I know is a unique combination, and it's just, I like to have fun in what I do and coming up with creative solutions and just working with clients and people internally and externally. And if you know me and when you get to know me, people are my passion, and I think it's really served me well in my time.
Mm-hmm. And you were not from Boston, you're from North Carolina.
I am born and bred North Carolina, and lived in South Carolina for 4 years with my husband's job. We moved there, and then North Carolina's home, so that's where we are.
But you're in North Carolina, you're here in Boston for this, but you're all over the world. I get to see how much you travel. You're all over the world with Commissioning Agents and
CAI.
Am I supposed to say
Yes.
CAI? I'm sorry. All right, CAI, just kidding. I am JTM. All right, awesome. Well, if you could, so I got to go to an event this morning, which I didn't know what to expect about your event this morning with sound bowls and meditation. It was actually quite enjoyable. I liked it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But what I'd like, if you could, just share a little bit about what ISPE Women in Pharma, we refer to it as WIP, W-I-P, is. Could you get just an overview of that and then how you became involved in that?
Sure. So Women in Pharma provides women in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry a safe forum to talk about things and focus on their professional career advancements and their personal lives. And so there was a need, there was a group of women many years ago that recognized there was a need, and they really didn't get much traction. And then it was about 6 years ago, Fran Zip, Georgia Caresti, Krista Myers, Charlotte, Bo Kraus, there's a whole group of people that just wanted to do something and said, we're doing something. And so I got engaged at that point, and we had our first meeting in Atlanta, and it was so well attended by men and women. And, just to kind of clarify, it is Women in Pharma, and everyone's included. Everyone's welcome to join any Women in Pharma event, unless it's a confidential conversation event, because those are, talking about very sensitive issues with women and babies and, harassment and things like that they're not comfortable opening up to. But everything's open, and we're focused on women because the problem is with women. Our problem statement is to increase women in leadership in STEM roles across the industry. And so we we try to do things that will benefit everyone, and I know that a lot of my champions are men across the board, my whole career. And so I think it's important that they understand what our expectations are and how they can help us, and we understand how to help them help us when we're trying to navigate all these challenges and successes across the board.
Okay, so you spoke to it a little bit already, but women in pharma is not a new thing. Women have been in pharma, and I got to sit at a table this morning with a number of different women and men, but a couple of the women had been around the industry for a lot longer than you or me, for sure, and they both were recounting, going to an annual meeting and being like the only woman. And so I honestly, I've never had to be in that. That's kind of an interesting situation to be in. So this isn't new, and you sort of talked to about 5 or 6 years ago where a lot of those women that are mostly down in your area in the South were sort of saying, hey, we need to go. Why do you think it's all of a sudden taken off? Because it's taken off.
It is.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the best group in ISPE right now.
It's the fastest growing initiative within ISPE, and we're working with emerging leaders more now, so it's getting even bigger, faster, and we're touching more people. And I honestly think
is there like a critical mass of people, do you think, where it's like if there's only 3 women, it's hard to make it a big thing, but there's like enough of them now? What do you think?
We found the right formula.
Okay.
And
Y equals MX plus B?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And if it's basic marketing. If you look at what your audience needs and you give it to them, they will come. And so we realized during the pandemic, there was so much virtual data being pushed at these women and men all across all industries, all over the world. It was just information overload. And what people really needed was a break. What people really needed was a shoulder to talk on or cry on or just somebody to listen. And so we created those forums. We had the mentor circles, but they really took off in 2020. And we have over 20 mentor circles all over the world. We have, I think, 39 women in pharma initiatives all over the world, with our newest initiative starting to have some grassroots events this week in South Africa. We've met, while we're here at the annual meeting, we've met with the Argentina affiliate leader, and they want to start women in pharma in Argentina. So it did start with a few women, and then we encourage and we help, and now we're expanding all over the world. That really
That's so awesome.
It's feeding people what they need, and there are technical topics, and we had the inventor of Alexa. He doesn't work for Amazon anymore, but he came and did an emerging technologies workshop webinar in August for us. So we're doing the technical things too, but the in between are much more human skills and much more relatable to try to help women navigate, and men for that matter, in their daily jobs.
Yeah, so so I have a list of questions here. If you're not watching, you can't tell that I'm reading necessarily, but I do have the questions. But I keep coming up with new questions in the background as Jenn talks. But so something that I see is that there's always been resources. There's always been mentoring circles or mentoring type programs, but I don't know what it is. It seems like it's different right now. It seems like the women in pharma is sort of, I don't know if you've just added I'm just going to say the wrong thing and say a womanly touch or something, but like there's just something that is connecting people a little bit different. And I see up here, I was talking about it at our table this morning, activities where the women are like organizing a walk, right? Okay, guys don't organize walks. That's just the truth of it. But guys
Gordon Lecter does.
Okay, Gordon does.
He's the only one.
A walk run.
Yes.
Yeah, I got his t-shirt right here.
Yeah.
But like, that's just not something that has been done, but now even guys are going to that. And it's a really good connection time, because when you walk, you just talk, right? Right?
You have to look at men and women, like biologically men and women are different.
We almost look the same.
We do.
We do have the same color on here.
I know, we are. We're both sporting the brighten your day. So we are, by nature, women are more nurturing, and women are more in tuned, I feel like, with people's feelings. Yes, there are men that are nurturing and in tune, but men are more analytical. Men are more visual in a sense of, yes, my wife is pregnant, but it doesn't really mean much until that baby actually comes and I touch the baby, and then I understand.
I don't know what you're talking about.
With your 5 children. So I think what we've done is just figured out how to nurture, and nurture in an appropriate professional way that is meaningful to anyone around the world. I mean, everyone, even you, need nurturing, you know? And so it's just what we've done, and it's the unique group of people that we have in our steering committee have really made an effort. Our volunteer base kind of fell off during the pandemic, and so we're trying to get that back, and the annual meeting has been great. There's so much energy. The room was packed this morning. There were 60 or 70 people in there, and they came for a meditation and a talk. And
by the way, I've never been to a meditation at a work event.
Yes.
And
how'd you feel?
It was vibrational.
Yeah.
Yeah. For nobody that knows, we're gonna just take a break while there's an announcement here. All right, so we just got cut off a little bit because we got some announcements happening in the hall, but that's okay. So, and we're skipping around on questions. So, Jen, where have you seen some of the biggest successes in connecting the women in pharma so far? We're in Boston, the annual meeting. You're from the Southeast. You're just talking about, South Africa. Where do you feel like you're just seeing a lot of this good momentum happening?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Different geographies have taken off faster than others. Naturally, Boston, Del Val, long-standing chapters that have had great members for a very long time. The West Coast, all 3 of the California chapters, they've got women in pharma stuff. They've been all in the whole time. CASA, same thing. The Midwest chapter, they're a smaller chapter, and they're doing it. They've got lots going on. It's harder for them from the geography standpoint to really be able to get together. So that's where it gets hard, and it gets better with the pandemic, because now we're creating access for way more people. Yep. So before, where we didn't really do these virtual events, or maybe we would have a speaker come in virtually, now we're holding virtual events at different time zones, and everyone in the world can attend. And so I think we're creating more membership. We're creating more people who are, or we're giving opportunities to more people to be a part of Women in Pharma, because there's no borders anymore. There's no, you got to drive 4 hours. You just sit down, turn on your computer, get a cup of coffee, tea, wine, and you're in.
So it's funny that you say that, because I think we all say that about, now we can just get on a Zoom call and do whatever we want with whoever, and a lot of us are annoyed by it, really, right? But I have seen now multiple events that you guys have been putting on that it seems like people are coming to them, where I think in a lot of respects we're trying to avoid that, but you guys seem to be able to draw people in even to these virtual events. What's different? Like, what are you guys, why is that different? Because we're talking about nurturing and connecting, and you're like, Zoom, right? Do you really want to do that? But you guys are doing it.
We are, and we're doing it successfully. And our sunrise to sundowns, we have 40 to 60 people on those.
Wow, that's huge. And that's like around the world at the same time,
It's around
right?
the world. We've got people staying up. We got people waking up in the middle of the night. It's about finding that value and what people are really looking for. And sometimes we do talk about what might be considered, in a man's world, like taboo topics. We talk about sensitive things, and we talk about the human skills, and how do you incorporate all these things into your daily life. And this morning I talked about mental health and your physical health, and taking care of yourself and your family. And I can't even tell you how many women and men came up to me and said thank you for bringing it to light and bringing the attention to it. And that's me. That's not us selling a product. That is just totally being genuine and being good humans. And we just have a lot of volunteers who all over the world are being good humans. We had a group of women in Russia, 250 women who were doing something like this on their own, and they have just joined Women in Pharma. They've joined ISPE. we're helping with the membership, and they joined, and this was in the beginning of 2020, and they're doing programming. So it's contagious, you know, and it's no different than you know, you're a service provider like I am. People want to work with people they like. Yeah. And so we're likable, you know, and we're fun.
Gosh darn it.
I know. But it's genuine. And I think that might be part of it. We're not just putting on another program.
Yep.
We are genuinely crafting each of these talks and each of these events to connect with people.
Right.
You know, and like this morning, I didn't exactly know what I was going to say this morning. And I knew we were doing the meditation.
Yep.
And I didn't know who was going to be in the room. And if it was all women, my talk would have gone a little differently than having, and that's great, it's fine. There's lessons to be learned in both situations for the audience. And so it just kind of speaks to you. And then I think when you speak from the heart, like a lot of our speakers do, people want to come back. Yeah. It's kind of, you get your endorphins going. It's kind of that addictive. I want to be a part of that. And I mean, Jesse, the energy that I see here is amazing. I know we haven't seen each other in 2 years, and a lot of us, unless you've been at the Boston Product Show, at Interfex, at PAC Expo, and here.
I feel like I have seen you a lot lately.
Yeah, it's like people are like, do you usually come to Boston this often? No, there's just a lot of things here right now. But I think it's contagious, you know, and it's working.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the stuff that you talked about this morning, and that I poked my head into some of the stuff. I'm not a part of the Women in Pharma regularly. I'm still getting past stigmas, and I don't want to be the only guy that shows up to a girls thing by accident. So, but I think the stuff you guys are talking about is, in my view, one of the high value things that the emphasis on the women in pharma is bringing, because as long as it's all guys, there's certain things you don't talk about, and they doesn't mean they shouldn't be talked about. It just means they won't be talked about. And so if you get a different group in here that has a different value set and that cares about things and that pays attention to different things in the exact same space, you're going to get things brought to light that are important to everybody, just more important to certain people, right? So, and I think that's what you guys are doing a fabulous job with. So, I know we don't have a ton of time because you have a million things to do,
okay.
but I wanted to talk about
minutes.
Sort of the young talent world. So, one of the things at my table this morning, I got to sit next to Lindsay, who just visited us during our little commercial break here, and another Carolina, I think was her name, from Texas.
Yes,
and
Texas A&M.
And just seeing like, okay, she's like an up and comer, you know, into the industry. And at the same table, I'm sitting next to a couple ladies that have been for many more years, all at the same place, talking about their experience, and they're all in just such a totally different place. Each one. So the older lady, I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
Oh, I will smack him for you. I don't know who you were, but I just smacked him for you.
But they have more experience. They have such a different history in this space. And like Lindsay, who was talking, you know, she's sort of in the middle of it, right? She's coming up when a lot of changes have already happened, but she's part of the change. And then you got somebody like Carolina, who's coming out of college into this new world. And I'm like, okay, how are you guys going after this young talent with women in pharma? Because we want our industry to get the best people, right? Yep. Like, we don't want them to go to oil and gas or to defense or whatever, right? We're fighting over the same engineers. So do you feel like that's an advantage for our industry, or do you feel like we're competing with other industries in the same kind of thing? I don't know if I actually asked you a question.
You did. You did. I got it. I do think we're competing with other industries. There's a global shortage of talent, period. Whether you are running a restaurant, a cleaning business, my husband and I own a cleaning business, we have a shortage of talent. You know, CAI does, all of our clients do. And so I think that's what makes ISPE so important, and any other of these professional societies that focus on students. And even you can go back, and you really want a competitive advantage, you're focusing on K-12. And you're focusing on catching these people when they're at a young stage. There's more women entering college now than there are men. So, you know, naturally, you are maybe going to have more women graduating, and then it's a very fine line of women going into STEM fields, because like I said, and I'm getting my MBA, and I've read some research on this for a project I had to do last semester, and women are innately nurturing. Going and being a director of engineering is not nurture. It's not a nurturing job. Nursing is a nurturing job.
Yeah.
So we're trying to.
Well, it could be. There could be some nurturing in there. It's just not viewed that way for sure.
There should be some nurturing in there. And I think the good ones that they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know several female directors of engineering who are great, and they are tough and they are solid. And then when they need to be, they have that ability to switch on and off, I think, in the different leadership styles when they're working with their teams. And I think that's not unique to women. It means that it's harder for a man to be nurturing. It doesn't mean he can't be nurturing.
Yep.
It's harder for a man to be nurturing, and it doesn't mean
or it's easy to not be.
Yes.
As a man.
Absolutely.
I think that might be.
And if you follow the DISC profiles, you know, learning something new, I love it. It requires a lot more energy from me. So it might take me a little longer to get there. So it's not that I don't want to do it, or it's not that it's not something that I'm capable of. It just requires more time and more energy. And I might not have the time or energy. So I just don't do that. I'm going to stick to what I know. And so I think we have to be overly communicating the benefits of working in our industry. And we have to go in and we have to show them. We have to lead by example. And I think we have a wonderful group of women in pharma that are leading by example and trying to pull, because it's a pull at this point, because these people are being pulled in multiple different directions that are these highly technical female and males coming out of college with these degrees. And so we have to go in and market ourselves better, and you know, have a strategy to get them to join us and not the oil and gas industry.
Right. It was funny when we were talking. I'm going to just say it. She has no idea that I'm talking about her on this right now. But when we were talking to Carolina this morning, she mentioned that it was like 50-50 in the chemical engineering group at her school that she's at, and I can't remember where it was.
She's at Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. All right, so
go Aggies.
But at the same time, mechanical engineering, which is like the hallway over, she's like mostly guys. It's kind of funny that even within engineering is such a disparity from one thing to the next. Like, why would that even be? You know?
I don't know any data on this. I'm totally guessing here. I think it's the people who run the departments. It's the same. It's the same thing. Who are they recruiting from? Who are they bringing in? Who's going to the schools to do the recruiting? Is it a bunch of male engineers? Or is it female and male engineers? Is it, a diverse group of people? Are you sending in people with different skin colors into these schools that they're seeing this is a representative, diverse community that I'm going to go join because it should be like, this is my family. Like, this is an extension to my family where I'm working. And so Carolina, actually, she is graduating from Texas A&M, and she got an internship at Lilly, and then now she's working for Lilly in North Carolina and moving to a completely new place. And I think Carolina will feel maybe just a little bit more comfortable because she knows she has a women in pharma community. She's been here.
For sure.
She's done this. She knows who I am. She's reached out to me. And so, it's going to be a better experience. So her first touch points at Lilly they're not going to be strangers.
Right.
She's going to have met people before, and she's doing the right thing. She's networking, and she's following kind of the plan that we're trying to put out and teach, that you try to teach your kids, and you got to go network, and you got to meet people, and you got to send a thank you note. And you got to be kind and be respectful, and it's that simple. And the ones who will do it will be successful.
And it's going to hopefully just keep snowballing and getting better and better. And I'm just going to say it just because I can't help myself, but that I got to have my daughter come to an event, and I've told a few people this, but I knew when I brought her to the event, I have no idea if my daughter's going to end up in this industry. No idea. I know that if she wants to, I can help guide her into this space. She doesn't have to do what I do, but we know enough people that it's easy to introduce people. And I knew that the very first person I wanted to make sure she met was you, because I want her. She doesn't have the same personality as you, but I want her to get a vision of what that looks like. And like you said, when you go to these schools, if they just see the same white dude, right, showing up, there's literally nothing wrong with that. But it's a picture that they set in their head. And they're like, but I'm not that, so am I supposed to be that? Can I be that if I'm not that guy, right?
And if they're not relating to you.
And, yeah, exactly.
And there's nobody for them to relate to have that connection and build that relationship just from the foundation, they're not going to come.
Right.
Or if they do, they're not going to stay unless there's somebody, something there to motivate them.
All right. Well, hey, this has been super awesome. That was a great descriptor. I'm gonna edit that one out.
Yeah.
So what's one thing? You've said a lot of things here. I really like it. I love what Women in Pharma is doing, and I continue to see different groups here in Boston. I see what you guys do down there in North Carolina, which I don't spend as much time there. And like Tanya, she's out on the West Coast. So I get to
Not anymore. She's in Raleigh.
Oh man, she just moved to Raleigh. Okay, everybody's going to North Carolina.
Come to North Carolina. We need you.
I'm just gonna get an apartment down there.
Yeah.
So like, what's one thing? If you could just one thing about Women in Pharma that you just think, that the audience that you're speaking to around the world should hear, and what's your vision for that in the future of Women in Pharma?
I would say my vision is for women to be empowered to do what they want to do. If you want to be CEO, let's get you boardroom ready. Let's do it. If you want to be an individual contributor and you want to do that better, let's figure that out. You want to be an SME, that's your career path. Let's help you get there, and let's build programming and get you access to do those things. I don't want us to be an organization that is narrow-minded, and I don't think we are, or anybody is, but like, you don't want to force people into something, because that's not solving the problem. I think that you let people start where they are and be who they want to be, and yes, push people and look at their potential, and just trust yourself and use others to help boost your confidence and teach you what you need to know to get you where you want to be. And I'm just hoping Women in Pharma can help empower women to be themselves and to achieve their goals, and their goals only.
That's great. And I think if you were an up and coming woman in pharma, or wanting to be a woman, if you're in school, or if you're just out trying to figure, I honestly, I don't think there could be a better time than right now to engage, because there is such a focus on it. You guys are just like superstars across the board. I got to talk to Lou Kennedy yesterday.
Oh gosh.
Oh my word. That lady's on fire.
She's amazing. and we do, like, I'm gonna put a plug right here for the ISPE Foundation. Like, if you want to sponsor, your company has diversity dollars, like, we can provide better programming in South Africa, in Argentina, in these emerging markets, to help them get seed money to get started. And so that's what the foundation's for. And it's for the emerging leaders, and it's for creating diversity, not just in Women in Pharma, but diversity all over the world. So, little plug there. If you're interested in that too, reach out to me.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on today, Jen.
Thank you.
I know we keep looking at the camera.
I don't
it's
know
important.
Where to go.
That's all right. No, it was awesome to talk to you.
Thank you.
I'm sure I get to talk to you again today.
Yes,
I feel like I get way
it.
too much Jen. Like,
no, it's awesome.
I get an inordinate amount compared to others, but
it is.
So thanks for being on today.
High energy people stick together.
We do orange together.
Yes,
all right, cool.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.